Michael, I want to ask you this question. The coalition government, Scott Morrison, made a big deal leading into the last election that he was fiscally responsible and that he would be able to, him and Frydenberg would be able to deliver a surplus. And of course we saw it May last year, just before the election, during the budgetary process, that they really championed the fact that they were strong economic managers and a surplus would be recorded. Now, of course, with the bushfires and now with this coronavirus, it appears increasingly likely that that won't occur. Do you think the Australian public will mark Frydenberg and Morrison down because of that?
Well, I think you're certainly seeing the softening up, the preparation for the fact that the budget may not deliver a surplus. And you're right, the last election was very much one about hip pocket stuff at the end of the day, and the fact that some of the policies, or many of the policies that Labor was taking to the election, was going to attack the middle class way of life, and the coalition, as we know, always generally seen as better economic managers. I think, given what's happened with the bushfire crisis, there's a bit of sympathy around that. That's had some impact, absolutely. The coronavirus, let's see how that plays out over the coming months. I think that the government's taking a very careful line here. They're softening and up, preparing the public for no surplus, but they're also trading that fine line where they don't want to, I suppose, spark panic, particularly in the stock market. So, I think that given the world events and I suppose the scariness around coronavirus, to put it pretty simply, I think most voters would be reasonably forgiving if that surplus wasn't delivered as promised.
Dan, do you think voters really give a toss about whether we're in surplus or not? I mean, the symbolism is good. The symbolism is that, these guys are good economic managers. But as Michael quite rightly points out, I think there will be some empathy for, the big hit. I mean, the bushfires, $2 billion. So if the bushfires are $2 billion, we've got to have to think that the coronavirus is going to be a lot more.
It'll be very significant. Now, you have to bear in mind that the inbound commerce, tourism, student numbers, particularly from Asian countries, which flow through to Australia. In fact, education, it's a $20 billion plus sector. That will certainly have an impact in terms of economic activity. In terms of sympathy for the government, if you've got your job, at the end of the day, you'll have a lot of sympathy for the government on this one. But if your job is threatened by the events around coronavirus and you don't see a response in terms of supporting demand in the economy, you probably won't get much sympathy if you occupy the Treasury benches. But the bottom line is, at the moment, the WTO, as I said, I know I keep harping on about this, but the fact of the matter is this, that the people who were treated for coronavirus in the Gold Coast University Hospital have all since been released and recovered from that. So there has to be some, remember that the facts coming through here are still in the early stages. So we are seeing a huge recovery rates also with coronavirus as well.